Fox Sports.
We are Black Horse. We are the Lions.
It is a steamy Tuesday night in downtown Cincinnati. Crowd rolling into Great American Ballpark. How do you do? And it's the Milwaukee Brewers for the first of three, taking on the Cincinnati Reds. Hi again, everybody. Alongside Chris Welsh and Jeff Pecoro, I'm Tom Brenneman. Welcome, as always, to Reds baseball. We just finished seeing the Brewers and the Cubs, two teams very much in the thick for a spot in the postseason. Now it's three in a row, with the next two anyway, the Brewers and the Cardinals, in the same boat.
Well, the way this schedule is laid out, I mean, all the teams in this division will be playing each other back and forth a lot between now and the end of the year. And the Brewers right now, they're second in the wild card. They're a ball club that, you know, is beginning to catch fire again. They have been kind of treading water here after the All-Star break, but they're getting a lot better. Cardinals, I don't know how long they can sustain what they're doing. And the Pittsburgh Pirates, who the Reds will see next week, are a ball club that, well, the Reds are 4-9 against them. They're 4-9 against the Brewers, and they're 5-11 against the Cardinals. So as the Reds look forward, every one of the teams that they're playing have given them a hard time so far this year.
Let's talk about Anthony DeSclafani. He went the first 2 months on the disabled list and appears to be getting stronger and stronger as this season goes on.
He's been the Reds' best pitcher here in the month of August. You can see the 2-1 record, earned run average under 2. He's throwing the ball over the plate. He's getting a lot of strikeouts. And for me, what I see from DeSclafani is effortless ability to throw the ball where he wants to. He's right now defining what pitching is all about.
On the other side for the Brewers, we just saw this young man last week. He's having a nice year too, as Junior Guerra.
This will be the 4th time this year that the Reds have seen Guerra. He's a guy that, you know, threw a lot of fastballs his last time out. Now, he didn't get in a decision. He was part of that crazy 4th inning where the Reds didn't even hit the ball out of the infield, and I think they scored 4 runs. But he's got that secret pitch, that little splitter that he held back his last time out. You may see a little bit more of that here tonight.
All right, when we come back, we'll go down to the field and check in with Jeff Pecoro. Today's the day, Joey Votto. They were working him out to see if he's ready to go at first base.
Skyline time. And by Staples, the back-to-school specialty store.
Hi, Reds fans. I'm Local 12 News meteorologist John Gum. Boy, it is going to be hot at the ballpark tonight for the first pitch tonight of the Reds and Brewers matchup. 88 degrees. We'll be down to around 83 by the 7th inning stretch, and by the final out, we're down to 81 with skies becoming mostly clear. Enjoy the game here on Fox Sports Ohio.
All right, for the past 2 weeks or so, the big question concerning the Reds is who's on first? Each and every day, it is a different player. But today, before the game, that's Joey Votto with Freddie Benavidez, a former very good infielder himself, putting Votto through some maneuvers. He took ground balls, he hit in the cage, and got along pretty well on that leg. He also ran the bases, got in the cage, took off running. It's starting and stopping, which is holding him back a little bit. He was eligible to come off the DL yesterday, but did not, is not coming off today. And Jim Riggleman says when Joey is 100% ready, then Joey will come back. But he is looking forward to coming back fairly soon. So he is not on first base tonight. And tonight, it is Curt Casali that gets the call. And what a season Casali's having so far. On the year, he's hitting .322. Tonight, he'll make his second start at first base. And it's time now for our IGS bringing the energy. Curt Casali in the month of August has been on fire at .368 average, 3 doubles, a couple of home runs, and 10 RBI. So we will hear a little bit more from Casali later on in the game. I got to talk to him before the game about playing first base. He did it in college for 2 years, so he said that helped him immensely getting into the season, and also working out with Joey and Freddie Benavidez has helped him as well. So it's the Reds and the Brewers coming up, the first of a 3-game quick homestand here. The first pitch is coming up. Anthony DeSclafani takes the mound for the Reds.
It's warmer, in fact, than it's been in quite some time here in Cincinnati the last couple of days. We understand we might be getting a break from some of this beginning tomorrow. And the Reds are ready to take the field. A brief 3-game homestand before hitting the road again, and it's a long trip the next one. Anthony DeSclafani set for start number 15. Let's take a look at Craig Counsell's starting lineup of the Brewers, who come in 14 games over 500. Lorenzo Cain will lead things off in center. Christian Yelich in right. Jesus Aguilar is at first. Travis Shaw, the native of Washington Courthouse, Ohio, just right up 71. He's a cleanup hitter. Ryan Braun in left, and Moustakas down at third. A latter third of Kratz catching. Arcia, the shortstop, Guerra on the mound.
Well, it couldn't have laid out any better, really, for Jim Riggleman and the Reds to send anyone else except his #1 pitcher on the mound there to face the Brewers here in the first of 3. DeSclafani's, you know, the overall numbers there early in the year, he just had a lot of rust. But his last few starts out there, except for his last time out, have been very, very good. In the month of August, his earned run average is down under 2. He's throwing the ball over the plate, striking out a lot of batters, and DeSclafani is hopefully on top of his game tonight, because it's one of those things where you kind of set the pace for the entire series by the way you pitch the first game.
We'll see if the Reds can get off and running here tonight. Let's take a look at the defense behind DeSclafani. Presented by Ford. They'll go with Billy Hamilton, the Reds will in center. Irvin and Schebler in left and right. Pick just mentioned a moment ago, Casale joining the regular group at third, short second, and behind the plate. So here we go. Reds and the Brewers in the first of 3. A night game again tomorrow night, and then a day game will come your way Thursday afternoon. And by the way, the Reds made some news deciding to start Cody Reed in the final game of the series on Thursday, rather than waiting and trying to figure out if he would be needed out of the bullpen. DeSclafani delivers strike 1, says Bill Welke, the home plate umpire and crew chief in this one underway. Tony Randazzo at first. Nick Marley is at second base, and Lance Barrett down at third. Cain looked like he went around. He did. It's 0-2. What you can really tell is we're getting closer and closer to autumn. We were starting these games a month and a half ago, and you'd have the center fielder and the left fielder basking in the sunshine for this 7-10 start. And now only the second deck in the sun as we begin this one. Nice play by Casale, and he'll feed the covering DeSclafani. He looks comfortable down there.
Well, he's played a little bit in college. I think Casale has. He's worked at it. I mean, you know, it's baseball. Some of the refining moves you have to make as a first baseman, may not be there. But hey, get over there, knock the ball down, get a nice, easy underhanded throw to the pitcher, and get it out. Sometimes we have a tendency to overthink things, especially nowadays in baseball. Whereas, it's really the same game we grew up with.
Christian Yelich, the uber talented right fielder, 309 batter, 23 home runs, 67 runs batted in, fouls it back out of play, and it's quickly 0-2. Okanoke storyline: highest hard hit rates among National League batters this year. Look who's #1. Yelich.
Well, I'm really interested to see that list. Can we see that list again? That's an interesting list. Now, we've seen Yelich. I mean, he's one of the better hitters in the league, obviously. Ronald Acuna, he's having a great year, but Ryan Braun being on that list is kind of surprising to me.
I'll tell you the guy that surprises me more than anybody on that list, because he is not having a good year until recently, is Tommy Pham. We saw him. He was in the midst of a 0 for 27 streak. Now, I know that's changed recently, but that's a body of work encompassing this entire year, and he's not had a good year. On the ground to the right side, and quickly 2 away. In fact, if I'm not mistaken, I think they have actually shut him down. As far as a National League player is concerned, he's been shipped off to Tampa Bay, and so he's not even, but he's still qualifying because of the number of plate appearances and so forth and at bats to be in the National League group, and he was not having a good year. So you look up and down that list, and it's a little odd.
Yeah,
because Braun's not had a great year. This guy got off to a monster start, Jesus Aguilar, and he's really cooled off, but the numbers are still impressive. Hitting close to 280, 29 bombs, and 91 runs batted in.
Well, already I like what I'm seeing out of DeSclafani. He's fearlessly pitching to hitters inside. You have to do that with Christian Yelich. He killed the Reds in Milwaukee by, just jumping all over off-speed pitches that the Reds are hanging out over the plate. And right now, Anthony pounding the inner part of the zone here. Trying to sneak a little fastball backdoor there.
Swung on and fouled off out of play. Still 1 ball and 2 strikes. I remember Jim Riggleman saying on that last road trip that with Joey Votto on the disabled list, and all of this was being followed with the anticipation that Votto would be ready on Sunday 2 days ago, which obviously he's still not back yet. But Riggleman coming out and saying the Reds were going to have Scooter Gennett play a little bit of first base. That's something that has yet to happen. Popped up left side of the infield, and that's all for the Brewers. A real nice start for DeSclafani. Retires his side in order. Reds are coming up when we return. Produced or retransmitted in any form. And the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Cincinnati Reds. Look at that little angel. She's ready to go. Billy Hamilton's ready to go. Let's look at Jim Riggleman's starting lineup here tonight. Billy, then Peraza and Gennett. Suarez in a cleanup spot. Schebler in right, Urban in left. The latter third of Tucker Barnhart, Kurt Casale, and Anthony DeSclafani. What a journey to become a major league pitcher for Junior Guerra. He's pitched all over the planet.
Yeah, when you go through the kind of thing that he had to do to make it to the major leagues, I imagine you just appreciate every start just a little bit more. 33 years old now, start number 25 of the season for Guerra.
So he's had a nice year. First pitch swinging and hooked into right field. A base hit for Billy. 29 stolen bases. He's been thrown out 6 times.
I wouldn't be surprised to see the Reds be a little aggressive here offensively from Guerra. He's not overpowering. He has a very good pitch when he has 2 strikes on you. That split finger fastball that he throws. He didn't really feature it a whole lot his last time out against the Reds, but he throws a lot of strikes, and for that reason you might as well go up there looking for something early on straight that you can hack at. And of course we'll find out whether Eric Kratz is up to the task of throwing out Billy Hamilton if he decides to push the running game.
Fastball in on Jose Peraza. Ball one, a .288 batter, 8 home runs, 42 knocked in. Closing in on 30 doubles this season is Peraza. 4 away. One and oh the count on Peraza, and Billy not running again, and it goes to a ball and a strike. Guerra's pitched 130 innings this year. He's not giving up a hit per inning, nearly that, and he's averaging almost a strikeout per inning. Opponents are batting .251 this season against Junior Guerra. The Mets will be at Wrigley Field tonight. Great pitching matchup there. Jacob deGrom against Cole Hamels. And the Cardinals come back to town to battle the Pirates. This one is lined hard into left. Goodbye for Jose Peraza. Number 9 for Peraza. What a way to get it started here tonight. 2-0.
Really having a good year, Jose Peraza. You know, he's been a nice blend of being able to get on base, being able to unjam the fastball when it comes on the inner part of the plate. But when I see this happen with Hamilton on first base, I wonder how much of this mistake pitch by Guerra, and he got it up, caught the inner third of the plate, has to do with him maybe trying to be a little quick getting to the plate for fear of Hamilton running. It's a good combination if you can get him on.
Now Scooter Gennett batting in the 3 spot. 44 runs batted in now for Peraza. 9 home runs. He's put together a very nice season. And that one shot into left field. A base hit by the longtime Brewer Gennett. Single homer single to start things for the Reds here in the bottom of the first inning. Look at the Brewers on defense. Presented by Ford. Braun, Cain, Yelich, left, center, and right. Moustakas, Arcia, Shaw, Aguilar. Third to first with Kratz hanging the signs. That'll bring a Eugenio Suarez to the plate. Suarez closing in on 100 runs batted in. He has 93 of those. His next home run will be his 30th home run. Through a fastball at 94, and Suarez comes up empty. 1 ball, 1 strike. Of course, the Reds and Brewers, it was just 1 week ago they got together for a 3-game series. Milwaukee taking 2 of the 3. And that is a fair ball up the left field line towards the corner. Racing towards third is Gennett. They're going to hold him there. Single homer, single double.
Welcome back to Cincinnati. They found the bat bag they may have left behind that didn't show up for them in Wrigley Field, because this is just smashed right on the button. Little hanging breaking ball there inside the third baseline. Moustakas sees it, goes down the line. And they're as really in business now.
Well, a pair of ground balls to the right side, and you have a 4-0 lead. That, of course, at the very minimum. Brewers are playing the infield back, and they play Schebler as a pull hitter. Schebler just returned over the weekend from a trip to the disabled list, which of course included time with Louisville on 2 separate occasions. After running into the wall at Busch Stadium the series prior to the All-Star break, it was a long stretch of being out for Schebler. He's behind 0-2 on a couple of fastballs up in the zone. Two to Schebler. Runners at second and third. Try to get him to chase another fastball, but that one nowhere near the strike zone. Struck him out. First out of the inning.
Really didn't fool around with him at all right there. Had 3 fastballs and one of them out of the zone. The last one right here, a nice little comeback action on it, but it was right by him.
So now Phillip Ervin. Boy, this young man has really done an excellent job since the Reds brought him back up on July the 20th. He's been a .330 batter, and he's been playing virtually every day. His on-base percentage is up over .370, and his slugging percentage up over .550. He leads the team in all 3 of those categories since he was brought up. And only Eugenio Suarez has knocked in more runs than the 19 from Phillip Ervin. He's actually hit better in the major leagues this year than just about at any time in his minor league career. You'll see that every blue moon, but infrequent. 1-1.
Well, Tom, you know, after the trade of Adam Duvall to Atlanta, there were 3 players that were getting some playing time in the outfield. You know, Preston Tucker, Mason Williams, and Phillip Ervin. And Ervin has definitely won that audition, if you want to call it that. And that's why he's getting the playing time here, even with Schebler back.
You know, Chris, I mean, you're
keep in mind,
evaluating.
the other 2 guys are left-handed hitters.
Absolutely. And, you know, you're evaluating all the time now, from now through the end of September. And you ask yourself, when you look ahead to 2019, does Ervin have to be considered a guy that you would run out there every day next year? He's certainly making them think about it.
Well, they certainly had high hopes for him when they plucked him in the first round of the draft.
Out of Sanford.
What we've seen from Ervin from a hitting standpoint, that he likes the ball up. He's got very good bat speed. He's got plenty of power. And when the pitching has gotten ahead of him, they've tried to adjust by making him chase down and away. But he may get a pitcher's pitch right here, or a hitter's pitch right here on a 3-1 count.
Guerra, a long look in, and Ervin stays in that batter's box. 3 balls and a strike. And trying to get him to chase down and away. He does not. And the bases are loaded for Tucker Barnard. Real nice start for the Redlegs here, and a chance to do some major damage to Craig Counsell's team in the opening inning after the 2-run home run from Peraza. They are loaded for Tucker. .245 batter, 8 home runs, 38 knocked in from the left side. Ball one high, a fastball. Into right field, a base hit. 1 run will score. That had a very odd look to it, didn't it? Maybe a little miscommunication here. I'm not sure with Aguilar, and Travis Shaw, of course, is not a natural second baseman.
Well, the ball was
a hit.
Well, it looked like a little bit of a jam shot right here, right in on the pine tar part of the bat. And went over Aguilar, and I don't know whether he tipped it or not, but it looked like Travis Shaw either was shielded out by Aguilar, didn't see the ball very well, it didn't tip it, and it just got by him right there. So Reds get a break, very similar to what happened to Junior Guerra in that 4th inning of the last time he pitched against the Reds. The Reds had one of those miracle innings where they ended up scoring 4 runs, and I don't think they hit a ball out of the infield.
No. When they had 3 straight infield hits, you may remember.
Yeah, he eventually struck out the side to get out of the inning.
Derek Johnson is the pitching coach for Correct Counsel. He's out to visit with Guerra. 7 have already come to the plate. Reds have 5 hits, a walk, only 1 out recorded. They're loaded for the first baseman, Curt Casale, who has swung a red-hot bat since being acquired roughly midway through this season.
Well, Guerra's gotten the ball up in this inning. I mean, if you're looking for a ground ball, and I'm sure that's what the situation was with Barnhart up there, came inside very nicely, but got the ball up around the letters. That's not where you get your hitter to roll over on it.
Look at those numbers in limited playing time for Casale. Nearly a .400 on base percentage. Fastball in on his hands, rolled foul. Suarez at third, Urban at second base, and Tucker Barnhart with a run scoring single leads at first. 1 out in the inning. And Guerra jumps in front at 0-2. Nothing in 2 on Casale. And that one's thrown to the backstop. Here comes a runner from third, and safe is the call. So wild pitch on a 1-2 pitch. Or an 0-2 pitch. And the Reds played a 4th run in the inning.
One of those where you're just trying to make sure you bury the pitch and you don't want to hang it and you just hold on to it too long. I'm still not sure whether it was that was a home plate umpire, Tim Welke, right there, or Bill Welke. He tripped over the mask that Eric Kratz left behind. And they're going to come out and ask Welke if he's okay. Of course, his own guys are razzing him a little bit.
He's a veteran. He's a gamer. No China doll there.
They're wondering where that sniper is up there that knocked him down. Good guy. Bill Welke, just a really good guy. Been around a long time. He and his brother Tim, longtime Major League umpires from Michigan.
From where?
I believe they're from that state north of here, right? Isn't that the way you like it pronounced?
Precise.
Closer
we get the Buckeye season. We do. That's exactly right. 1-2 the count. And Casale is out of there on strikes. That's a big out right there for Junior Guerra because it's a 2nd out of the inning. The infield will back up, and you have the number 9 spot in DeSclafani coming up.
You see where his strength is. That is Guerra, and he's got a little extra zip on the fastball. He got a fastball right by Scott Scheffler that way. So when the Reds have hit it in this inning, they've got base hits.
DeSclafani does have a grand slam this year. It's one of his 4 hits total. And Guerra just rears back and cuts it loose to get ahead 0-2 on the swing and a miss. Reds continue to make all kinds of changes in their baseball operations department. And we'll talk more about that as the night goes on. But a great start for the Redlegs back on the home front. A 4-run first inning highlighted by a 2-run big fly from Jose Peraza. This season, plus now you can stream Reds games with Fox Sports Go through the MLB at Bat app. Download MLB at Bat today. Jose Peraza with a 2-run home run in the first inning. The Reds score 4 against Junior Guerra. And now they're set to go and hoping that those 4 runs will turn out to be more than enough for one Anthony DeSclafani. Travis Shaw to lead things off here in the Milwaukee second inning after DeSclafani had a 1-2-3 first inning. Got a couple of ground ball outs to Anthony and a pop-up by Aguilar to end the inning. Working quickly. And it's 2-1 to Shaw. 26 home runs, 72 batted in. He had a big series last week against the Reds. Batting average is down this year for Shaw. In the mid 240s, the power numbers are pretty good. And he's been willing to accept a position change. Of course, if you get a chance to play every day in the big leagues, what does it matter? That one pulled foul. But the last 2 years, he's been their starting third baseman until they acquired Moustakas, which forced Shaw to go play second base. Cardinals and Pirates will get started in about 30 minutes from now, and Cubs and the Mets in about 20 minutes from now. Billy Hamilton will peel off so Schebler can make the catch. 1 out. Ryan Braun's been battling injuries, an assortment of injuries the entire year, most recently with a sore rib cage. He's had back issues a lot of this season. 259 hitter, 14 home runs, 49 runs batted in for Braun. He looked really good at the plate when we saw the Brewers last week. The best he's looked all year. Brewers are 5 behind the Cubs. They are in 3rd place in the National League Central, but the top 2 wild card spots among all National League teams belong to the 2nd and 3rd place teams in the NL Central.
Well, they do right now. There's not a lot of cushion of comfort, though, and that's why you see Craig Counsell will show you him a lot here in the next few days. You know, kind of stressing out. Colorado game and a half behind. The Phillies and the Dodgers are a couple of games and a half behind. And then you have some spread going down to Washington, San Francisco, and Pittsburgh. These are really, you know, you got to figure, especially with the record that the Brewers have against the Reds this year, these are must-win games. At least 2 out of 3, I guarantee you that they are hoping to grab from the Reds here in this trip.
Great movement on that pitch to strike out Ryan Braun, the first K of the night for D. Sclafani.
Slider, fastball, slider, and this is one of those, once you get ahead with it, start it at the very bottom of the strike zone, then let it break down into the dirt. Boy, DeSclafani, you know, the reason his August has been so good, he's just, his delivery looks nice and easy. He's not trying to overpower the hitters. He's more interested in hitting his spots, and boy, he has ever really been able to hit his spots. Down and away right there with a little runner away from a left-hander, and then it comes right up underneath his elbows when he comes inside.
When we saw the Brewers last week, Moustakas was batting in that 3-hole. He did not have a hit in the entire series. Had a home run over the weekend as the Brewers took the Pirates 2 out of 3. 4 home runs now as a Brewer, and he does have 16 knocked in tonight, his 27th game since coming over from Kansas City.
Got some power, no doubt about it. Most of the power he has is pull power. Always seems like he's looking for something to jerk into the right field seats.
Two balls and 2 strikes on Moustakas. That got him swinging to end the inning. The first 6 retired. The last 2 on strikes by D. Sclafani. He's been given a 4-0 lead. Play ball. Turbo deck. Take a look at that thing. It is sweet, I can promise you. Book your party or group outing today by visiting reds.com. And now's the perfect time to do it. I mean, you know, we get to September, the weather will be spectacular. You have your own restrooms up there. You get the full bar, top, bottom. That'd be something nice to do with your coworkers or your company or your buddies in the month of September. Your family reunion out there, the Welsh family reunion out there. Billy led off the game with a hit, and he's got another hit as he drops this one in front of Braun. 2 for 2 for Billy Hamilton. Nice start.
You know, some guys, their game is power. For Billy Hamilton, it's dropping that ball into the outfield, in front of the outfielders, over the infielders. And I still, for the life of me, don't realize, or I don't understand why Major League outfields don't adjust as much as infields do when it comes to the shift, as far as playing guys deep versus shallow. The only thing I can think of is that a lot of major leaguers don't like to go back on the ball. Reds in the same spot they started here in the first inning, except this time they're up by 4.
Peraza, that 2-run home run in the first inning after Hamilton had singled to right field. And a fastball runs inside. Ball 1 to Jose Peraza. Running, Kratz throws, they haven't been a rundown. Shaw to Aguilar to Arcia to the pitcher, and Hamilton is out. That happened to him over the weekend as well.
I don't know whether Billy slipped on his way out of the run right there. Maybe it looked like the way he was looking back, you almost get the feeling that it was a hit and run right there.
There's no way that was 2-5-4. It was 2-4-3-6-1.
Wasn't that the song by Tommy Two-Tone?
Yes, indeed. Jenny, Jenny, who can I turn to? That's big league tune now.
Yes, it was.
Big league tune.
Kind of sticks in your head.
Yes, it does. I mean, you hear that song now, man. That's a great tune. They got it going. Never to be heard from again, to my knowledge.
One and done.
Jenny, Jenny. Another base hit for Peraza, so he has a home run and a single. That's already 7 hits through 1 inning and 2 batters for the Reds against Junior Guerra here tonight.
Now the slider, his slider's just not doing much at all. I mean, he's just kind of hanging right there, and again, same spot, different type of pitch for Peraza as he lines it in safely for a base hit. I'm wondering if Junior Guerra might be pitching for his starting life here in this particular start. They've got Zach Davies, who's off of rehab, or almost coming off rehab. He pitched a complete game shutout in his last rehab start, I think last night. And they'll be looking to make a move in their rotation. Reds the rest of the way in the series face Freddie Peralta, right-hander, then Wade Miley on Thursday during the day game. He's a left-hander.
And of course, if you believe what you read, you know, when Matt Harvey was out there on waivers, it was the Brewers, the team interested in trying to acquire Matt Harvey. Harvey will pitch against the Brewers tomorrow night.
Well, from what I've been able to hear about that deal, Tom, the Brewers really weren't offering much at all. And the reason they were not offering very much at all in exchange for Matt Harvey is that they were getting Zach Davies back. So they were already getting one additional hit pitcher for their rotation. And they thought if they could pick up one more, no problem, especially a quality pitcher like Harvey. But they weren't about to give away too much, of their future to do so.
Here's a 1-1. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Chris, I was starting to mention when we went to break after the top of this inning, the Reds announcing today the promotion of cross-checker Brad Metter to Director of Amateur Scouting. Congratulations to Brad. He's had his home here in Cincinnati for a long time. An area supervisor going back to September 2009, the last couple of years as a Reds Midwest cross-checker. So congratulations to him, and wish him all the best in this new endeavor. Slapped through the hole into left field, a base hit. And on to third goes Peraza easily. 3 straight hits to open up the second inning after 4 hits opened the first inning.
Right now, Scooter's just waving a magic wand out there. I mean, it's almost like a tennis player finding the spot down the line. He reaches out, punches it in the hole, and
Scooter had to go crawling back to first base. He made a hard turn. He slipped and fell down. And then he dove for the bag, and because it's still wet around there, it's a little bit wet. And watch this. Just keep crawling. Jeanette, 150 hits now, third most in the National League. It should be noted with the 2 hits tonight, Peraza is only 1 behind him. 4th most hits in the National League. Suarez down, strike 1. Suarez a chance to add to that RBI total of 93. Saw Craig Counsell on the phone. They're going to get action in that Brewers bullpen. Reds have 8 hits, and there's still not a single out recorded. In this second inning, Jordan Lyles, a right-hander, beginning to throw. The 93 RBIs with still a month and a week left in this season are the most by a Reds third baseman since Tony Perez in 1970. The big doggy knocked in 128. Shortly thereafter, he would make the move over to first base. We were talking about those numbers about a week and a half ago. The 2 seasons, and Perez obviously a Hall of Fame player, but his years in 69 and 70 as a Reds third baseman were just staggering. Ball and 2 strikes. A count on Suarez. Runners on the corners with nobody out. Reds looking to add to a 4-0 lead. 1 out, I beg your pardon. That was Hamilton on the base pass.
Boy, Guerra's out there really tonight with basically 1 pitch working, and it's a fastball when he can get it in the right spot, throwing it by a few of the Reds hitters. But that breaking ball of his just not fooling anybody. They're getting good looks at it, even when it's darting out of the strike zone. Or I should say rolling out of the strike zone.
I'm sure counsel wants to know if Lyles is ready, because this looks like he's seen enough. They're loaded. I'd imagine counsel's going to come get him. Or maybe he found out Lyles isn't ready yet. Here he comes. Or is he? Yep.
Well, he struck out Schebler last time, and if there's any doubt about it now, there won't be any more, because that slow walk to the mound usually means one thing. Umpire is waiting for counsel to make the sign. He's not done it yet. Now he does it.
Early exit for Junior Guerra here tonight, an inning plus. So far charged with 4. Walks a couple of batters. Strikes out 3. Our Skyline Chili call to the bullpen brings on Jordan Lyles. Reds have him loaded when we come back. The bottom of the first. They have the bases loaded with 1 out. Scott Schebler coming up, and now on to pitch, replacing Junior Guerra, Jordan Lyles.
More of a sinker ball pitcher than a high fastball pitcher. He'll try to get the ball down on the ground, and he could use one right here. Reds looking to add on right here against a former starter. We saw Lyles, I believe, the first time when he was pitching for the Houston Astros.
I think you took the words right out of my mouth. I remember it quite well. And I believe we also saw him, if I'm not mistaken, with Colorado, did we not? 2 balls and no strikes to Schebler. Reds have 9 grand slams, which still has him tied for most in the major leagues with the Boston Red Sox and the Cleveland Indians. Fastball on the outside corner, 3-1. And Lyles promptly comes into the game and walks in a run. So the Reds now lead 5-0. Coming up later on, we'll have our Whole True Moment brought to you by Miller Lite. Everything going the Reds' way here tonight on the return to the home front.
It's amazing when you don't pitch well, you in no way resemble a pennant contender. I mean, if you haven't watched the Brewers all year long, but you've watched here this inning in the third, and you're saying, what, the Brewers are tied for the wild card? Are you kidding me?
You're right. That old baseball adage about momentum comes in the form of a starting pitcher the next day. And the Reds are trying to just blow this thing open in the bottom of the second inning. Phillip Urban, the batter, still only 1 out, and the bases are loaded. Boy, that's a nice play by Moustakas, and they cannot turn the double play. Very close. That ball took a high hop on Moustakas. He stayed with it, and they almost turned it over. But the call is safe, and it's 6-0.
Well, that extra little bobble right there is what cost him, because Irvin can run down the line, and he easily beats that throw. And
oh, wait a minute. You got to be kidding me.
What are they asking about here?
I think the runner vacated third base. I think the runner at third base, Eugenio Suarez, vacated the bag.
Do you think it was a double play?
Yes.
If he vacated the bag before time was called, then they could appeal him to be out. But right after the play at first base, oftentimes there's time called immediately.
And I think that's what they're telling Craig Counsell, precisely what you just said.
Well, Counsell went back into the dugout, and he must have gotten some kind of confirmation of a wrongdoing by his video guys. So he went back in there to talk to Bill Welke. Welke's getting jawed at by some of the Brewers in the dugout.
Yeah, now he's going to come over and talk to the umpire at third base, Lance Barrett. He was the one that was obviously standing over there. And well, let's see what they're saying here. I think they're just telling Craig Counsell, hey, look, time had been called.
All right, and there's time called right here.
But
with
Suarez
Welke.
is running off the field already. He had already made his way to the infield grass.
Yeah.
Tell you, if I'm Counsell, I got to have him look at this.
I'm not sure if that is a reviewable play or not.
I'm not sure, Chris, he ever touched third base, Eugenio Suarez. I don't think he ever got to the bag. If you go back and look at this video and look straight up the line, Suarez is running to third and peels back to the infield grass before he ever gets to the base. Take a look.
Look back here. First of all, you're going to see Welke call timeout. But here's Suarez, who never did get to the bag down there at third base. You're right. Reds catch a break right there. Jim Riggleman saying, well, it's about time.
You're right. High fly ball into left field. This will back up Braun, but it will be the final out of the inning. So the Reds tack on 2 more, and at the end of 2 lead 6-0.
Yes, that is first baseman Curt Casale over there. You know what? It's not that big of a stretch for him. He played it in college, but still really rough to do it in the majors.
It's not easy, and I'd say going from catcher to anywhere else is probably even harder. I think we're so used to being stationary, and the ball 100% of the time is coming at us, to going to a position where you may not get it 5% of the game. And that's difficult, and you know, the footwork is completely different. Running to a bag and turning around and catching the ball, that's a little foreign to me, and you know, but we just got to make it work. You know, hopefully there's a reason that they put us over there, because they have confidence that we're not going to screw up too bad, and you know, I feel like so far we've been able to get by.
Tom, you got to see him today working out with Joey before the game. Looked pretty good over there.
He did look pretty good over there. Good guy, too. Smart guy.
Very smart. Gets along with all his teammates. You know, sometimes it's not easy to get traded to a ball club in the middle of the year. You know, a lot of guys here on this ball club are like Tony Cruz, who was the backup catcher at the time. A lot. Great guy, worked hard, did a lot of things, and there were some guys on the ball club kind of upset that Cruz was being moved out. But once Casale got here and kind of got to know everybody, they like him very much. Good teammate.
Three balls and 2 strikes. In the air off the end of the bat. Breaking back initially was Urban. Now comes on, and that's 7 straight to begin this game, set down by Mr. DeSclafani.
Hey, I think we may have a new emergency catcher on this ball club. If you don't recognize that guy, that is Homer Bailey behind the plate, warming up Anthony DeSclafani between innings.
I think that Brian Giesenslaw was going to be coming down here and having a sit-down conversation sometime soon with Homer Bailey, so we're looking forward to that. I'm sure that this has been a really, really rough stretch for Homer Bailey. You've talked a lot about that, Chris, and I understand Brian Giesenslaw is going to try and get together with him. A couple of fellow Texans. Hooked into right field. That'll base hit by Arcia, shooting it the other way. And Arcia, the first base runner of the game for the Brewers against DeSclafani. A 1-out single here in the 3rd inning. Jordan Lyles will bat. Coming on to get the final 2 outs in that Reds 2-run 2nd inning. Reds got 4 in the first, 2 in the second. They have 6 runs on 8 base hits. And Lyles bunts it all the way back to the screen. It's 0-2. struck him out swinging, and the first time through the batting order. DeSclafani has struck out 3 Milwaukee Brewers. We go back to the top with a runner at first and 2 outs, and Lorenzo Cain coming to the plate.
Yeah, at this point in the year, every road trip and every series very big for the pennant contenders. Brewers just coming off a 7-game homestand. Make it a 6-game homestand. They were 4-2 on that homestand, where they hosted the Braves and then the Pittsburgh Pirates. Took 2 out of 3 from the Pirates. After leaving Cincinnati, they'll head to play Washington Nationals for a 3-game set before coming back. Cubs, Giants, Cubs again, and they finished the very end of the year with 3 against the Detroit Tigers.
Those will be some jam-packed crowds when they get together with the Chicago Cubs.
Boy,
doesn't matter where that series is played, whether it be Wrigley Field or Miller Park. It's a real easy drive between the two cities, a lot like roughly going from here to Columbus. Cubs are just underway at Wrigley Field tonight, hosting the New York Mets. We mentioned that excellent pitching matchup. Cole Hamels coming off that complete game against the Reds on Thursday night. And Jacob deGrom starting tonight for the New York Mets. You mentioned the Nationals. They're almost in a sort of desperation mode at this point. They'll have a number of games left this season against both Philadelphia and Atlanta. They have Max Scherzer pitching tonight against the Phillies. And if they have any hopes of trying to make a late season run, it better start tonight. Raza the short way, and that will end the inning. 1 hit, 1 left. We're in the middle of the third. It's been all red so far.
Gleyber Torres hit his 20th home run, making him and teammate Miguel Andujar the first rookie teammates to hit 20 home runs since 2 guys named Jay Bruce and Joey Votto did it back in 2008. Tommy?
All righty, Pick. Great to have you with us downstairs along the Reds dugout. Reds are in front 6-0 as they bat against reliever Jordan Lyles here in the bottom half of the third inning. And it'll be Casali in the number 8 spot, followed by DeSclafani, and then Billy Hamilton will bat for the 3rd time already in this game, and we're just in the 3rd inning. Showed you the numbers when Lyles came in. they plan on, or they're hoping, I should say, that he can gobble up some innings here tonight and save some of those arms in the bullpen. He's made 8 starts this season. Casale struck out swinging against Junior Guerra in the 4-run first inning. Three balls, 1 strike to Casale. Well, they have the scoreboard wrong. I beg your pardon. So that is strike 3. Good 3-2 breaking ball right there.
Lyles finally got the right release point. He'd been bouncing them. He'd been hanging them up on top of the zone, and finally gets on top of that one.
Well, for Red, it's a home run off that Toyota sign there. You get a look at that breaking ball. It just snaps right down in there. But for Red, it's a home run off that sign in right center. Joyce Franklin from Mainville, Ohio, will win this beautiful new Tundra, thanks to your Cincinnati and Northern Kentucky Toyota dealers. DeSclafani struck out his first time up. There's that breaking ball, but it missed. 2-2 to DeSclafani. And there's strike 3 called, a fastball knee high on the outside corner. Back-to-back strikeouts for Lyles here in the 3rd.
And now you turn the lineup over to the part of the lineup that has been really incredible here tonight. The first 4 batters in the Reds order tonight have all reached base each time they've come to the plate.
Hamilton 2 singles, a run scored. Peraza 2-run home run, a single, 2 scored. Jeanette 2 singles, 2 scored. Suarez a double and a walk, a run scored.
So 7 for 8 with a walk.
And that'll change now. Reds are gone in order against Lyles. We're off to the 4th, and it's all Reds so far, leading 6-0. Join the Reds for the annual post-game Faith concert presented by Prasco. This year's concert features Dove award-winning band 10th Avenue North. They'll be live on the field after the Reds take on the Padres, and that's a 4:10 game time. You can be here for as low as $12. We'd love to have you. Visit Reds.com today. Reds in front 6-0 as the Brewers bat here in the top of the fourth against Anthony DeSclafani.
It's one of those games, if you're pitching and you're ahead like DeSclafani is, it's very easy to lose your concentration. Sometimes really takes a little bit of help from your catcher to kind of stay in there on every batter. Keep bearing down, try to get your team in the dugout as quick as you can. A lot of times, you know, you look up, see the scoreboard 6-0, you start piping in fastballs. Next thing you know, they got a real rally going.
We're lucky to have joining us up here in the booth tonight Alex Click and his dad David. Alex just graduated from out in West Claremont. They combined those two high schools out there, you may remember. And he was all over the newscast locally. They came out to his house, the band and everybody for his graduation. So we're lucky to have him stop up and visit us tonight in the booth with his dad. Popped up and out of play. They're going to need Aguilar to get on another run like he had earlier this season. I mean, he doesn't have to go hit 20 home runs in the month of September, but they need him to start doing more damage. He's been pretty quiet for a while, especially since the All-Star break.
But just watch him at the plate and watch how much his head moves, even on pitches that he takes. That pitch was way off the strike zone right there, and he was still kind of following it all the way. I mean, when a hitter is really locked in, his head is very still. He recognizes immediately whether a pitch is going to be in that, you know, into that pipe, they call it, or into the strike zone, or whether it's going to miss.
He is not homered in almost 3 weeks. Now, he did swing the bat well, a lot like that when we saw him last week. He drives that ball into center field for a one-out single.
Yeah, shortens up a little bit with 2 strikes on him and basically takes what DeSclafani will give him.
Well, that's a big man.
You can imagine how far he could hit it when he centers it up. Friendly guy, too. I mean, if anything, they say he talks too much down there playing first base.
We saw that. We were in Milwaukee last week. He was nonstop for 3 days. Casale's playing behind him over there. He'd be talking to him. Got to talk to his first base coach. Oh, and 1 to Travis Shaw. And now 0-2.
Now Shaw did not like that first pitch strike that was called on him, and that was a fastball on the corner and then a breaking ball down. Guy loves the fastball down out over the plate.
Just off the outside corner, a fastball at 95 from DeSclafani.
And good action.
Reds believing Shaw will pull the baseball. Boy, he's been so close even when he misses. DeSclafani just has excellent stuff tonight. Maybe the best stuff we've seen in any start he's made this year.
Well, just good command of his pitches, and that's what really separates him out. I mean, he's 29 years old now, so he understands how important being able to throw the baseball where you want to is. I don't think he's really ever tempted anymore just to rear back and, out of frustration, try to throw it as hard as he can. Very thoughtful guy.
Three-two pitch. And as soon as you say he has great command, naturally he'll get ahead of a batter 1 and 2 and walk it. That's his first walk of the night.
The old announcer's jinx.
That's exactly right. Straightaway center, right over the visiting bullpen. The Starfire bullpen, as it's called out there. All right, so here is Ryan Braun. Reds lead 6-0, but the Brewers, their first threat of the night against DeSclafani with a single and a walk, 1 out. Braun struck out his first time up. And this will be a base hit into right that'll fall in for a hit. They're going to hold Aguilar. Could you imagine that guy's a pulling guard coming around the outside, Aguilar? Holy mackerel. That was like trying to stop a truck. Look at a big fella. Ooh, pretty nimble. We showed you that picture. We were in Milwaukee last week. How 2 of his teammates, Arcia and Zach Davies, got together, 1 in each leg of his pants. Yeah. It was unbelievable. It's a great picture. All right, they're loaded for Moustakas. Strike 1. Brewers with a legitimate chance to get right back in this game. DeSclafani jumps in front of the Milwaukee third baseman at 0-2. Reds with a 6-0 lead, but that hangs in the balance here in the Milwaukee fourth. Single walk single to load him up. Struck him out. Second time he's fanned Moustakas.
The breaking ball right there. DeSclafani stays on top of it, drives it straight down. You know, having Shaw and Moustakas in the lineup, I mean, Shaw has a little bit more tendency to hit the ball the other way, but Moustakas and Shaw basically the same guy. And what DeSclafani did to one, he also did to the other, which was get Shaw to chase a breaking ball down before he walked him, and got Moustakas right there to chase that same breaking pitch, but for a strikeout.
Kratz flied out to left field his first time up and shoots it into center field, a base hit. 1 run scores. They're going to wave around the second runner. Here comes a throw by Hamilton to the plate. Slide, and they got it. What a throw by Billy. Cleared the mound. A perfect one-hop strike to Barnhart. And this guy, he is something else. Brewers on the board, a 6-1 game.
Nichols. Tom is no stranger to the Reds organization. He's called 4,000 games for the Dayton Dragons, and tonight he got his big league call-up.
Very excited. There's a character in the movie Field of Dreams, Moonlight Graham, who played one game and never got the bat, and I sort of feel like that guy tonight. I'll get to step in for 3 innings, and that'll be a thrill for me. Very excited. Couldn't be any more happy about what's happening, and thankful as well.
I'll tell you what, it was so great, Chris. He was in here visiting with you and I, even the Brewers announcers, when we were telling them the story about Tom having a chance to announce a few innings in the game tonight over on the radio side after 4,000 games with the Dayton Dragons and 4,000 professional baseball games. And everybody knows the story of the Dragons. It's a, this just unrivaled story. They've sold out every game for 25 years. And this is the guy who's been their voice. And boy, it's just so awesome that the Reds have made this happen tonight. It's awesome. And he truly is so grateful and thankful and excited.
Oh, he's excited. I mean, he was just bouncing off the walls up here at the media level. Great to see him again. Of course, we see him every once in a while. If you ever make it up to Dayton, of course, you'll see him all over the place up there at Fifth Third Field. Does a nice job, and I'm very happy for him.
I am too. I like to think that that there's someone out there that'll give his tape maybe a little extra listen, because he certainly deserves that chance to get a job at the major league level.
Well, I like that when you ask them, well, what about your mom and dad? Are they watching tonight, your wife? And he said to you, well, they won't be watching tonight, Tom. They'll be listening tonight.
We have to wait until the 7th inning tonight to acknowledge his mom and dad. So we're not going to do that right now, because we know they're listening to their son up in Muncie, Indiana. Swing and a miss by Jose Peraza. 3 strikeouts for Lyles since coming on in relief of Guerra, who gave up all 6 runs, all earned runs. Lyles walked in a run when he first came into the game, but he's yet to give up a base hit.
That's one of those oddities of scoring where you leave the bases loaded. All your runners belong to you as the original pitcher out there, even if the guy walks a batter to walk the run in. Scooter's had a couple of opposite field base hits.
That one fouled out of play off to the first base side. 1 ball and 1 strike on Scooter Gennett. And that's where his hits have come tonight. One of them anyway. The other one was against that shift. He hit it between the third baseman and the shortstop. Lyles can cut it loose now. He got a strong arm, and we've seen a good breaking ball from Lyles already here tonight. Perfect kind of guy to have on your staff when you have nights like this from your starter. His major league experience, started a lot of games in his big league career. He started some games this year, and when your starter gets an inning and a third, you're looking at this guy to get you to the 5th or the 6th at least.
Lyles, former first-round pick. Astros picked him 2008. He made it to the major leagues when he was 20 years old. Had 15 starts that first year. That was in 2011. Never really turned into the big winner that they had hoped that he would be. High water mark for wins is 7 in a year.
I always wonder sometimes, Chris, and it's not to make an excuse for anybody, but You know, I always wonder sometimes when a guy, like you just said, #1 pick, a couple of years later, you're going out of high school and you're coming to the big leagues and you're pitching for just an awful team. I mean, just a terrible team. And, you know, if there's any kind of effect on the mentality of a very, very young pitcher who, you know, it's hard enough to try and navigate your way through the big leagues as a starter, much less being 20. And you're playing on a team that's getting their brains kicked in. And in those days, the Astros were getting their brains kicked in every night.
It's a good point.
Well, I don't know if it is or not. I'm asking you. I mean, you came up, you played on some good teams, played on some bad teams.
Well, I came up in the Yankee organization where we won. I mean, we had championships at every level of minor leagues where I played. And then I got traded to the Padres, and we were a very young team full of rookies, always a second place, I mean, a second division team.
Yeah.
You know, you get a chance to play, but you're not necessarily remembering how to win or learning how to win at the big league level.
So a walk to Jeanette, a single by Suarez. Suarez on base for the 3rd time. So too is Jeanette. Each has a couple of hits and each has a walk. So this inning continues for Schebler, who has struck out, and he was the first batter that Lyles faced when he took over in the 2nd inning, and he walked Schebler with the bases loaded. One and oh the count on Schebler. That ball driven into left field over near the line is Braun. He'll make the catch and fired quickly back into 3rd. Jeanette bluffed as if he was going to try and tag up on that play. 2 outs in the inning. So now Phillip Ervin. Started 2 and laid off, strike 1. Ervin walked his first time up and then had a run batted in on a fielder's choice ground ball that he legged out as the Brewers tried to turn it into a double play in the 2-run 2nd inning. Reds with a 5-run lead. We're just in the 4th. Almost wonder if Lyles can see those fingers of Kratz. See, looks in there, a lot of shade, and very dark with those dark shin guards.
Well, you might be seeing the signs right there. When he touches his face mask, shin protectors.
Ground ball to Arcia, and that will end the inning. We've played 4. The Reds lead the Brewers in game 1 of 3, 6-1. Further, and by Cincinnati Children's, now ranked number 2 in the nation by U.S. News and World Report. We're off to the 5th inning here at Great American Ballpark. Anthony DeSclafani given a 4-0 lead at the end of 1, 6-0 lead at the end of 2. The Brewers got 1 run in the 4th inning. So that's where we stand as they have Arcia, the pitcher spot. And it looks like they're going to bring on Jonathan Scope to bat for Lyles. And then back to the top of the order in Lorenzo Cain. Lyles did a good job.
Other than that first batter walk.
Yeah. Went 2 2/3. Walked 2 batters, only allowed 1 hit and no runs. As Arcia has gone on strikes after a single his first time up.
Tied him up that time, Arcia. After slashing a ball down the first baseline for a base hit in his first at bat.
5 strikeouts in the game now for DeSclafani.
It's kind of a night that it's a fun night for a catcher, because DeSclafani can, really execute what the scouting report wants. So when Tucker Barnhart wants something, and I don't really see him shaking off Barnhart very much tonight. But I mean, it's okay, give me a fastball down and away. And when he misses, it's misses by 2 inches and not 2 feet. Kind of games that catchers really long for. Especially after a hot weekend in Chicago.
Well, you're not kidding. It was really, really warm, especially the last couple of days. The first night was perfect. Second day wasn't all that bad, but the last 2 were heat index over 100 degrees, playing during the daytime. Two and 2 on Scope. He came over, you may remember, the deadline from the Baltimore Orioles. Huge hopes for him, and so far it's just not played out very well.
And it looks like the way the hitters, or the way the pitchers are attacking Scope, very simple. Basically fastballs in and breaking pitches away, chases it and
And they thought they were getting an upgrade at shortstop, offensively speaking, over Arcia. And I mean, as bad as Arcia has been, he's better than Scope's been since he came over. Barely hitting over 200. Dan Jennings, a left-hander who gave up that home run to Scooter Gennett. The one game the Reds won in Milwaukee last week, is throwing in the bullpen. Here's a 3-hopper to Peraza, and that's out number 2. Cain hitless in 2 at-bats. His bounce to the first baseman Casale and a fielder's choice grounder to Peraza ended the Milwaukee 3rd inning. And this one looped into right. It'll be a 1-2-3 fifth for DeSclafani. Inning number 5. Reds lead by 5. Hi, ladies. Out to Fireworks Friday, September the 7th. You can be here for low as $12. Reds in the Padres. Have the post-game fireworks show presented by Mercedes-Benz of Westchester and Mercedes-Benz of Cincinnati. For tickets, visit Reds.com. Big group of Special Olympians are down, we understand, from Dayton, Ohio tonight. Nice to have them with us. Hi, guys. Having a big time at it at the ballpark tonight. Quit showing off. Guy on the right showing off. Reminds me of Teddy a little bit, doesn't he?
Yes, he does.
Yeah.
Good night to be down here at the ballpark, seeing the Reds.
Absolutely.
Up by 5, 6-1. New pitcher to the bottom part of the lineup is Dan Jennings. Last time we saw Jennings, he was headed back to the dugout after giving up a first pitch home run to Scooter Gennett.
Yeah, that broke a tie. And the Reds ended up winning that game, their lone win in the 3-game series, but a win nonetheless. The turnaround Tucker, who looks at a strike. Cardinals out in front of the Pirates 2-0. That game in the bottom of the 3rd inning, and the Cubbies and Mets scoreless last of the 3rd at Wrigley Field. Phillies score 3 off Scherzer. They're already in the 6th inning of that game. Phil's 3, Nats Zippo.
Boy, Aaron Nola having some kind of year. This is back-to-back starts, I think, for Nola versus Scherzer.
I tell you, it's going to be interesting to see what the Nationals do at the end of this year. They got to make the decision about what they're going to do with Bryce Harper, who's not had a great season.
I think the decision is with him, is it not? They don't have an option on him for next year.
No, I'm saying they are. Are they going to sign him as a free agent?
Well, he'll have to decide whether he signs or not.
Yes, of course. But they have to make a decision on whether they're going to offer him a contract.
Correct.
And, we were there, what, a month ago? I think the feeling was trending in the direction that the Nationals were not going to offer him a deal.
Well, if they weren't going to offer him a deal, I didn't see the reason why they would hang on to him for the rest of the season. I could have got something for Bryce Harper, I'm sure, from a contending team down the stretch.
Well, you'd have gotten more than nothing.
There's always somebody out there who thinks that when he puts on our uniform, he's going to be the old Bryce Harper that we expected to see.
And don't get me wrong, I'm not suggesting that Harper's had a terrible year. He hasn't had a terrible year, but it's been a down year, and it's really the third year out of the 6 years he's been a major leaguer. He's had an MVP season. He's had 2 others that are, really good years, and then he's had 3 just so-so years. Some sexy numbers in the power department and runs batted in, but batting average way down.
He might be a guy that would benefit from a change of scenery.
Might be. Still so young.
Oh, and talented.
And a gamer.
Yep.
There's no doubt about that. He is a gamer. And of course, if he leaves as a free agent, you do get that compensation pick, and he'll get you at least that much. 2-2 pitch.
Now you're paying for that, though. I mean, I'm not exactly sure how that works. I'm sure. I think it's. Don't you draft through the first round first,
yes,
and then you get your compensation?
Yep.
So it's not like you're getting the 3rd or 4th pick in the draft.
Right.
You're more like getting the 34th pick in the draft.
Right.
And it'll cost you money, and it's a kid coming out of either high school or college. Well, I guess to admit mid-season, if you're running the Washington Nationals, that it just didn't work out, and you throw up the white flag in a big time when you trade Bryce Harper.
And I think that was probably ultimately at the end of the day which won out. Stefani takes a stab at it, misses it.
Good way to put it, and bad approach.
He has 1 sacrifice this year. He has struck out twice tonight.
Yeah, I think one simple adjustment would really help DeSclafani get a bunt down. And rather than standing straight up with the bat at your waist when you're waiting to pitch, go ahead and get down in your bunting position right now. Get that bat on a little bit of an angle where the bat head is higher than your hands. Just go ahead right now, bend down. Not wait till the very end. Might give him just a little easier perspective to see the pitch. Got to figure Jennings going for a strikeout here.
By DeSclafani. That's a little more like it. Advancing the runner. His 2nd sacrifice of this season.
You know, when Billy Hamilton was on bases last time, it went back in the 2nd inning. He attempted a stolen base and got picked off. Now he's in a rundown. But watch where Aguilar and Hamilton are. at no point should you ever try to avoid a fielder when you're in a rundown and he doesn't have the baseball. We'll take a look right here. Aguilar basically almost runs right into him, and it's Hamilton that runs out of the way. Hamilton could have easily run into Aguilar because the ball was in somewhere else and would have been able to pick up an obstruction call and moved on to second base. Just one of those little things that, you know, anybody can do. But I guess the easiest thing to remember, if you see a guy in your base path who doesn't have the baseball and he's a defender, run into him, because you will be safe and awarded the next base.
Of course, maybe Billy looked at Aguilar and thought, well, it'd be like running into a truck. I don't know.
Well, that's true.
No, but it's a great point you're making, especially for young players out there. It's a great point. Not even young players, if there are other major league players that happen to have the night off and they're flipping through the channels. So tell your players that very thing.
I mean, there's a lot of times the teams will have a rundown strategy where the receiving fielder will yell now when he wants the ball from the guy that got the ball, right? And that way you close the gap a little bit. Well, I was always taught, you know, in the Yankee organization, they taught us that as soon as you hear the word now, you turn around and run into the guy that was supposed to have just thrown the ball away, because he doesn't have time to get out of the baseline. And that's the only way you're going to get out of a rundown. Now, Billy gets out of more than the normal runner does because of his speed.
But if he's still holding the ball and you run into him,
then you're going to be out.
Yeah, right.
The chances are you're going to be out in that rundown anyhow.
That's right.
There's a couple of guys that probably play pickle in the backyard.
Oh, yeah, you can book that. Look at him. Looking good. Like those haircuts. One ball and 2 strikes, 2 outs, runner at second base, and a 2-hopper down to the big fella. Billy's not going to run into him here either. And that'll end the inning. We've played 5 innings tonight. Reds in front.
August 28, 1943. It's his birthday. Happy 75 years to Lou Piniella. And who can forget that? I cannot believe that he's 75 years old. I think he and Chris played together in the Yankee organization. And Tom, I know you've known him for a long time, but 75, wow.
Tell you, he looks better now than he has through most of his 50s and 60s, don't you think?
What a great sense of humor he has.
Yeah.
I mean, one of the funniest guys ever to be around.
So, Lou, happy birthday. Straight up in the air, hit a long way by Christian Yelich, and that is long gone. Tell you, this guy's got some talent, man. That makes it a 6-2 game, number 24 for Christian Yelich.
Now, we showed you at the very beginning of the ball game that he was the leader in Major League Baseball, or at least in the National League, as far as number of hard hit balls, and he will add to that here. Well, way up there on the batter's eye.
Hitting the home run in this ballpark, the Brewers have now homered in 20 straight games at Great American Ballpark. And that's 42 home runs in the 20 straight games, as we talked about earlier. Highest hard hit rates in the National League. Yelich #1. By the way, that is the longest streak in the history of the ballpark. The longest the Reds have ever done it. Hit a home run in consecutive games. 18 straight games in 2010. So now 20 in a row the Brewers have hit in this ballpark. In fact, 45% of their runs on the season for the Brewers have come via the home run ball. That's by far the most in the National League. Well, not by far, fractionally better than Milwaukee, but than the Phillies, but then a big drop to Colorado and the Dodgers and St. Louis. Comebacker to the mound. You know, there's a Brewers team last year that won almost 90 games, and they said, hey, look, this just isn't good enough. And they go out and they sign Lorenzo Cain as a big ticket free agent center fielder. They sit a guy down who hit 30 bombs for them a year ago when they acquired Yelich in a trade from the Marlins. And really, you look around this entire team, I mean, they have made a lot of changes. Their starting rotation has flipped over due to some injury and ineffectiveness. The guys that are the primary parts of that bullpen, same kind of thing. Knebel was out. They brought in some other guys to do the job, and they've stayed in those roles. They have been a very, very aggressive franchise here over the last couple of years. Make the big deals at the deadline for Moustakas as well as Scope. Tap back to the mound, and DeStefani will throw out Braun. So after the home run by Yelich, Brewers are finished in the sixth, trailing 6-2. Luke Fickell and the Cincinnati Bearcats. Bearcats Insider is coming up next on Fox Sports Ohio and streaming on Fox Sports Go. The Bearcats open their season this weekend at the Rose Bowl in Pasadena, California, taking on the UCLA Bruins. And Peraza has another base hit, his third of the night. Well, Peraza, when he leads off an inning, don't you wish you could have him leading off every inning? He has the highest batting average of any player in the National League, leading off an inning, and the second highest on base percentage of any player leading off an inning. Oh, what a year he's really put in, and still going strong. Only had 33 extra base hits his first year and a couple of months in the big leagues. He has 39 of them already this year, including a 2-run home run here tonight. Scooter's been on base 3 times tonight, 2 hits and a walk.
Scooter, ongoing conversation down there with Bill Welke, and I don't know if Eric Kratz is chipping in. Have a lot of fun, Scooter Gennett does.
Well, if you play like he has the last couple of years, you'd be having a lot of fun too.
I wonder what the Milwaukee Brewers think every time they see Scooter Gennett step to the plate. They look at the kind of year he's having. Comes in here right now, .313 batter, 19 home runs. He'll be up around 90 driven in. I'm not so sure that he would have ever gotten this chance in Milwaukee.
Well, you know, we sat down and talked with Craig Counsell about this before, and you know, you go back really through the chronology of the whole thing and where the Brewers were. I mean, Gennett got a lot of playing time in Milwaukee. He played a lot. He was a regular player for the better part of a couple of seasons in the big leagues and had good years. And Craig Counsell will be the first to tell you, he said, look, I knew when we let him go that we were letting go a very, very good offensive player who had more upside in him. Counsell said, I never thought he'd turn into a 30 home run guy driving in 110 runs. He said, but we knew offensively that there was enormous upside there. But when you look at the way their team was being constructed at the time, Jonathan Villar was coming off a great year, hit over 290, led the league in stolen bases. They had decided to move him from short to third so Arcia could come to the big leagues. But then they go out and they make a trade and they acquire Travis Shaw. Well, the only position Shaw had ever played was third base. And Villar technically had not been moved to third base yet. So they decided, all right, we're going to move him over to second base. Villar, good enough athlete, the whole 9 yards. And that meant that 2 things were going to happen. One, Villar was going to be the regular second baseman. And number 2, as Gennett has gone on strikes, they had to figure out what they were going to do with Jesus Aguilar. He had no options left. And, you know, they're trying to figure, okay, on a 25-man roster, who do we think has a chance to be more valuable to our team? We can't keep them both. If we put one on waivers, they're going to be picked up. The other one on waivers, they're going to be picked up. So they made the decision to keep Aguilar and made Scooter Gennett available, and it's worked out extraordinarily well for the Cincinnati Reds, to say the least.
Well, I think what's happened, and the example of Scooter Gennett coming over here to the Reds and basically just going off, you know, maybe driving in 100, maybe having 30 home runs the way he did, and continuing to do so, is what paralyzes certain teams when it's a difficult decision to say goodbye to one of their players, either in a trade or a waiver deal of some kind, where they just don't want to be the Milwaukee Brewers in this particular case. And the Brewers have moved on. But a lot of teams are fearful that if we let this guy go, what if he goes somewhere else and has a great rest of his career? And people look at us like, well, how did you not see what you had in your own organization?
Well, you know, Chris, you bring up a great point, because last year it really did blow up on him. I mean, it looked really bad. Now this year, like you said, you know, they moved on. They, you know, they VR, but VR was awful last year.
He was.
And a lot of, you know, Brewers fans are like, how in the world do we let that guy go to Cincinnati? Because every time we see him, he's hitting the ball in the seats. And he was a popular player.
Sure.
But then what are the, you know, the Reds don't have to make a decision this winter. But they're going to have to make a call sooner or later on what they're going to do with Gennett. Three balls and 2 strikes account on Eugenio Suarez. And Jennings has walked his second batter since coming into the game. Oh, and one to Shebler. That ball pops up in the air out of the mid of Kratz, but he's there to snatch it away. 1 ball, 1 strike. Remains a ball and 2 strikes on Shebler. swinging is Schebler, and that's the second strikeout for Jennings, both coming against left-handed batters. He's got Jeanette here in the 6th inning, and now face a right-handed batting Phillip Ervin.
You know, as you watch Phillip Ervin come to the plate, Tom, you're wondering, you know, you're always trying to project forward to see where these players are going to fit in the best. And Craig Counsell looks like he's going to come out and make a double switch right here with the right-hander coming up. But, you know, I'm wondering if maybe, you know, Phillip Ervin might not be an excellent right-handed part of a righty-lefty platoon in the outfield. I mean, this year his numbers against left-handers are basically off the charts, way up over 350. And you know what kind of power he has. And Craig Counsell sees the same thing, and that's why he's going to the bullpen to get a righty.
All righty, so a break in the action. We'll be back with more in just a moment. Sausage, your first 20,000 fans get a Joe Morgan replica statue. Tickets are available at Reds.com. So some moving parts here. Yelich goes over to left field, and Hernan Perez takes over in right. Matt Albers, been around a while, takes over on the mound. Numbers are not good for Mr. Albers.
Well, he just came off the disabled list about a week ago, and you know, you're talking about the need for the Milwaukee Brewers to have Aguilar, for instance, really step it up offensively. They need some help in their bullpen as well. When they get the lead, they're pretty good. Their back three guys are awesome, but you know, Jeremy Jeffress, Hader, very much lights out. But these are important games as well when you're down early and you need to call on your bullpen to try to keep it close. So far, they've done a pretty good job. Reds have not scored since the second. Albers was a teammate, I believe, of Jordan Lyles back when they played together for the Houston Astros.
Liner into right, that'll fall in a hit. They're going to wave around Peraza, and he will score. Throw down to third, safe there. And Ervin takes off for second. Moustakas was sitting there looking at the umpire. Ervin was gauging the whole thing, watching that throw go to third. There was nobody behind him at first, and when Moustakas stood there and held the tag on the runner at third, he broke for second. And that hit makes it a 7-2 game.
This is the kind of heads-up baseball that you want to see out of your players right here. When you get an opportunity, seize that opportunity. Base hit falls in front of Yelich. He's watching the baseball over there. Moustakas is looking at the umpire, as you said, and hey, while you're doing that, I'll do this. Those are the kind of instinctive things that you want your guys to be able to do.
So the Reds score for the first time, as Chris mentioned, since the second inning, and it's a 7-2 ball game. And here's Barnhart, runners at second and third. That run is charged to Jennings. And now they're going to intentionally walk Tucker Barnhart to load the bases for Kurt Casale.
A little bit of micromanaging going on here.
They're loaded for Casale. Swing and a miss, strike one. Albers has come on, giving up an RBI single. He's intentionally walked the batter to load him up. One ball and one strike. And now Kratz is going to visit the mound. Well, there's a whole lot of talking going on with these two guys. Now Albers going to walk a good 25 feet behind the mound, walk around in the grass for a little while, and he will make his way up to the pitching mound. Moustakas will play it to first, and that will retire the side. The Reds get one. They leave them loaded. End of 6, 7-2, Reds in front. first 4 hitters in the Reds lineup. I mean, it started in the first inning when they went single, homer, single, double. Second inning, single, single, single. They have had it rolling here tonight. 9 for 13, scoring 7 times. Knocked out the starter, Junior Guerra, after an inning and a third here tonight. He gave up 6 earned runs. Jennings just charged with a run. And Anthony DeSclafani. How about this note from our statistician, Joel Luckham? DeSclafani is the first Red starting pitcher to pitch into the 7th inning in now 5 straight starts since Mike Leake in April and May of 2015. How about that? So DeSclafani with the ball. He's only allowed 2 runs and 5 base hits here tonight. That seems like a lot more than 3 years ago, 4 seasons ago. I'll tell you that. Hooked into right field, a base hit by Moustakas. Reds have action in their bullpen for the first time tonight. One-time Brewer. Jared Hughes cranking it up. Here's Kratz. He's fly to left and single to left. '88 pitches, now an 89th for DeSclafani. 90 coming up. We're in the 7th inning. Cardinals lead the Pirates in the 5th, 4-0. They're in the bottom of the 5th. That pitcher's duel we talked about at Wrigley Field. Well, I don't know what it is about Kratz. Every time we see this guy, he is hitting missiles.
He just laid out a rope right there.
Here's Arcia, the shortstop, 1 for 2, singled and struck out.
Looks like Arcia has changed his approach just a little bit. Not nearly stepping in the hole or in the bucket as much as he used to.
Well, when you lose your job, or at least lose a full-time job, as Arcia has, hitting in the 2 teens most of this year.
I mean, even with his defense, I mean, the Brewers are in somewhat of the same conundrum with Arcia as the Reds would have been with Billy Hamilton. I mean, both of them play superb defense and save the team so many runs throughout the season. But they like a little more offense. Of course, Arcia is nowhere near the weapon on the base paths that Billy Hamilton is.
Hamilton, by the way, when he made that throw to cut down the runner at the plate, that was his 12th outfield assist this year. That's 2 more than anybody else in the league. Wow. 6 of the 12 have been runners at home plate. Pretty impressive. It's a debate that goes on, you know, whether it's talk radio, whether it's you know, websites, internet sites, whatever it is, about, you know, what the Reds should do with Billy Hamilton. Looking at next year, he'll go to arbitration. He'll make a significant amount of money. I think we've documented many times as far as here's strike 3, that the number of times that he does reach base is extraordinarily higher in terms of his chances of scoring once he reaches base than any other player in baseball.
Yeah.
And so, you know, I don't think anybody's right. I don't think anybody's wrong when they say, okay, we ought to keep him, ought to trade him, whatever it might be. But there is a flip side to the argument. And there are a lot of people out there that just don't want to open their ears and listen to it.
Well, I think those conversations are being held not only on talk radio and, in the media and maybe down to your local tavern, but also in the boardrooms of the Reds.
Sure.
I mean, I don't think there's a consensus among all the Reds decision makers is one way or another on Billy Hamilton. That's what makes it difficult, because he offers you so much on one side that you just keep hoping this is going to be the year where he's going to, bust out of it offensively. A couple hits tonight. 1 run scored.
Lined into right. That is a fair ball, and it scoots past Schebler. And they're going to wave around the runner. Here he comes from third. Safe and scoring is Moustakas all the way on the double by Hernan Perez. And that makes it a 7-3 game, so the Brewers not quite finished. Perez, his first at bat of the game, and it's a run scoring double, and it looks like that's all for DeSclafani. Looks like Jim Riggleman will make a double switch. DeSclafani goes 6 2/3 innings here tonight. Jared Hughes will come on to pitch, that we know. We'll fill you in on the other changes. DeSclafani, I would imagine, will get a nice round of applause as he exits. Headed to the first base side dugout. Smiling about the effort from Anthony DeSclafani tonight.
Oh, good effort. Reds got him 4 in the first inning, and he was able to hold the Brewers down to 3 overall, almost finishing 7 innings completely. Well, he's only walked, what, 4 batters in the entire month of August. Struck out 29, I think the number is. Having a good month.
Having a great year is Jared Hughes. Although this is a one team, as Mason Williams comes on and left, this is a one team in a very, very, very limited number of innings. But the bottom line is you know, he didn't get a lot of innings against a lot of teams. But they've scored 3 runs against him in 5 innings of work. His ERA against the rest of the league is 1.3. So maybe there's something to pitching against his former team. ball and 1 strike on Lorenzo Cain. Boy, this is a critical batter here.
Yeah,
You've already got 2 outs in the inning. You don't want to see that guy on deck with a couple of runners on base.
Now, and that pitch right there is a critical pitch because he's got to be able to establish that pitch down the zone as being a strike. Did not get the call that time from Welke. Could have gone either way.
2 balls and a strike. 3 balls and a strike. Christian Yelich next. There's ball 4, and Hughes comes in and walks Lorenzo Cain. Jim Riggleman just beside himself down there.
He's got to be a little more concerned right now. I mean, Yelich does not represent the tying run, but he's already hit one halfway up the batter's eye. He does that again. We got a 1-run game here, and the momentum swinging the opposite way.
Nothing in 1 on Christian Yelich. That was his 24th home run of this season. This home run, they said, measured at 432 feet. I got to buy. I tell you, I'm not buying it all. You don't even see the ball hit, and that's 404. I'm not buying 432. 452 maybe. This one might go 452. And it is all of a sudden a 1-run game as Yelich is homered for the 2nd time tonight. And for whatever reason, the struggles, incredible struggles for Jared Hughes, continue against the Milwaukee Brewers.
Well, the last time he pitched against the Brewers, August the 20th, pitched 2/3 of an inning, gave up a couple of runs. He gives up 3 on this shot by Christian Yelich. And boy, is this guy the real deal. What an acquisition he has been for the Milwaukee Brewers. Home run to center, home run to right. The difference being a couple of runners on base right here.
All the way up into the bar up there on a line.
Bow tie bar on National Bow Tie Day.
Yes, it is. And you didn't even wear one tonight.
Well, we'll be celebrating that in the post game. Looking forward to that, as I always do when you join me in the post game.
Reds are hoping that they're celebrating a win. This looked like a laugher. And all of a sudden, after the 3-run home run by Yelich, there's nothing to laugh about. It's a 1-run game.
First weekend that made a big splash. The splendid Splinter talks hitting as we celebrate his 100th birthday. And the Reds sharp-dressed men in the bullpen. Reds Weekly tomorrow at 6 on Fox Sports Ohio and streaming on Fox Sports Go. 7-6. Reds have now a 1-run lead as we head to the bottom of the 7th. Tom?
Already picked Matt Albers on to pitch. He came on, allowed a run-scoring single. A run that was charged to Jennings in the Reds' 6th inning. Walked a batter but got it out of a bases loaded jam. The Reds have left 10 on base through the first 6 innings. Mason Williams part of a double switch when Jared Hughes entered the game. So after pitching as well as he did, DeSclafani does not even pick up a quality start, so to speak. 6 innings or more, 3 runs or less. He gives up 4 of the 6 runs tonight. Charged with 4.
Well, if you're Matt Albers out there on the mound as the Brewers reliever, you've got a whole different approach coming up right now. It's a 1-run game instead of a blowout game that you're just trying to mop up some innings with. Be an interesting ending last few innings of this ball game tonight.
Mason batting for the first time tonight. Back to the top of the order where all that damage has been done tonight by that quartet of Hamilton, Peraza, Jeanette, and Suarez. 2 balls and 2 strikes. 6th inning at Wrigley Field and still no score. DeGrom v. Hamels. Boy, now there's a pickup.
Hamels.
Oh, man.
Boy, did he look good.
He sure did. Hamels has kept himself in tip-top condition even as he's gotten into his late 30s now. And you know, he had the great start this year with the Rangers. Great start. His first 2.5 months of the year, he was as good as anybody in the American League. And then for basically about a month, about 8 starts, I mean, he just got lit up every time he took the ball. And you're wondering what in the world is going on with Cole Hamels. Now, who knows? But the bottom line is, since joining the Cubs, he has been spectacular. But that's another thing that you and I talked about. You know, we were on the last road trip. The last homestand, that old Davy Johnson, and you pointed out he probably wasn't the first guy to say it, but you know, bringing guys, older guys from the American League over to the National League, where they've had to maneuver through, you know, tougher lineups, or at least theoretically tougher lineups with a designated hitter and so forth. There's a base hit into right field. And I just looked up, how in the world are the Brewers playing Mason Williams with Jesus Aguilar standing directly behind the bag against the line? You're not going into no doubles defense in the 7th inning. I mean,
I don't know.
I mean, we've seen Mason Williams enough where I don't remember him hitting a lot of balls that are hugging the first baseline.
No, neither do I. Maybe they think Albers is going to pitch him down and in, which he did. In fact, as it turned out, it was probably fair anyway because he chased ball 4, but he got a base hit on it. So Albers would have had a base runner either way. Now this is where if you're Billy Hamilton and you're going to lay a bunt down, it is a must that you put it down the first base line. Got the big guy. Aguilar is not going to be able to charge, not when he's holding the runner at first base. And Williams got some speed, so you're going to hold him. Moustakas is coming in hard from third. See if he was serious about that. And that's what the Brewers are trying to find out by throwing over.
That'll be out number 1.
Boy, that's not good. Well, as soon as that barrel of the bat goes down below your hands and the knob of the bat is higher than the barrel, you're going to pop it up almost every time.
Jose Peraza's had a good night. A 2-run home run in the first. RBI singled and scored in the second. Struck out in the fourth. Singled and scored again in the sixth.
Well, that home run by Peraza, he is now, what, 5th on the ball club in home runs, tied with Joey Votto.
Base hit into center field by Peraza. A 4-hit night for Jose Peraza. And he has hit the ball hard tonight.
Yes. Well, he had a rough road trip. He batted right around 200 on the road trip, had an especially tough time in Chicago. Of course, the Reds did overall, but tonight a whole different story. Ripped the ball for a home run in the first inning and then 3 singles.
It's a third 4-hit game for Peraza this year, which also includes, by the way, a 5-hit game, and Albers just can't get out of his own way. So they're going to make a pitching change and get him out of here. Soria will come on from the Milwaukee bullpen. Run home run by Yelich in the top of this 7th inning to come within a run, and now the Reds are making some noise. Joakim Soria will come over from the Milwaukee bullpen with 2 on and 2 and 1 out to face Scooter Gennett.
Well, they picked up Soria from the Chicago White Sox before the trade deadline. He's a guy that's been around a long time, 34 years of age, but has completely reinvented himself. I mean, he used to be power all the way. Soria did. Had a couple of all-star seasons with the Kansas City Royals, pitched in Texas, Detroit, Pittsburgh. We saw him back to Kansas City, and then most recently with the White Sox before being picked up by the Brewers this year. More breaking pitches. He'll even drop his arm angle a little bit to feather that breaking pitch in there. You remember Soria when he was really in his heyday, was more of an overhand and then big overhand power breaking ball. I've always had a lot of strikeouts.
One ball and 2 strikes on Gennett. Two balls, 2 strikes. And it's 3-2. A fair ball down the line off the bat of Scooter Gennett, and it's rattling around the corner, and both runs are going to score, and Scooter's going to end up at third. A 2-run triple for Scooter Gennett, and the 1-run lead swells to 3.
Scooter Gennett. Open wound, pour in salt. Right here in the way of a triple down the right field line. Soria gets a pitch on the inner part of the plate after trying to get Scooter to chase away, up and away. And it goes right around the corner.
And for Gennett, that's a 3-hit game. He has 16 of those now on the year. 2 more than any other player in the National League. How about that? Now the infield in, and here's a Eugenio Suarez. He's down a strike. Brewers get the huge home run from Yelich, coming back from 6-0 down to make it a 1-run gain. And then Albers in the inning allows a couple of hits, now a couple of runs. Soria throwing gas on the fire, allowing a 2-run triple, and it's a 9-6 Cincinnati lead. Still just one out in the inning for Suarez, who does not have a run batted in tonight despite being on 4 times. 2 walks, a double, a scored a run and single. Nowhere near the strike zone. Got him on a breaking ball, a swing and a miss for the second out of the inning. So it's still Jeanette at third base. The infield will back up. Schebler the batter. Reds already have Preston Tucker standing in the on deck circle. That would be Jared Hughes' spot.
Well, this is the one spot, you know, if you're a contending team like the Brewers and you're taking a look at your bullpen, they basically reserve Josh Hader for those games in which they're winning. And then you have Dan Jennings, the only other left-hander. If you have one more, then you would use him in an inning that would feature Scooter Gennett and then Scott Schebler. That's none were available, so they picked up Soria, who's been good for him, don't get me wrong. But just from a matchup standpoint, there's just not quite as much balance in that bullpen probably as Craig Counsell would want.
Well, I tell you what, if you're the manager, Craig Counsell in this case of the Brewers, it would be hard to quarrel with what your front office and what your ownership has done.
Yeah.
Really, since you took over a very bad team 3.5 years ago. I mean, just look at the roster from where they were. Yelich in a trade, Cain as a free agent. Braun was here. Moustakas recently in a trade. Arcia from the system. Shaw in a trade. Aguilar, they find him as a waiver wire guy. That ball swung on and popped up out of play. And you can go on and on and on and on. And they go out and make the moves they did during the offseason, the moves they made at the trade deadline, whether it's Scope, which hasn't worked out great so far. You never know how that turns out. Moustakas, Soria. Can't complain. Just blew him away on a fastball, and that'll end the inning. But the Reds get a big 2-run triple from Scooter Gennett. We go to the 8th, 9-6, Cincinnati in front.
Live pregame show 30 minutes before every game, brought to you by Ray St. Clair Roofing as we get you set for that day's game. And it was just announced a little while ago, the Reds have set their rotation. Harvey will go tomorrow. Cody Reed back in the starting lineup, and Cody will throw Thursday afternoon versus these Brewers. Then Bailey gets the start on Friday at St. Louis. Castillo on Saturday. Romano and Stevenson have been moved to the bullpen. So for the time being, guys, Cody Reed back in the starting rotation, and he gets the start on Thursday.
We look forward to that. He's thrown the ball very, very well. Thanks, Pick, since he came back from the minor leagues out of the bullpen.
And that's why Wandy Peralta's in the game right now instead of Cody Reed. I thought it was odd at first when they were going to move Reed from the bullpen into the rotation to wait almost a week before they would give him the ball as a starter. So that has been remedied. He will go Thursday. Day game here. Lefty on lefty matchup. It'll be he and Wade Miley going at it. And meanwhile, Wandy Peralta comes back and hopefully retains his spot as a solid setup man.
That ball hit a country mile the other side of the fair pole. Thank goodness for Wandy Peralta. Holy Moses. Smash again.
Hey, we want to congratulate the Dayton Tortugas outfielder Ibandel Isabel, who hit his 34th home run down in the Florida State League to set the Florida State League record.
Congratulations to him.
Big guy, 6'4", 225-pound outfielder.
Straight up in the air. Now that's the guy, if I'm not mistaken, they picked up in the deal for Dylan Floro, right?
No.
Who? I'm sorry, for Ariel Hernandez.
Ariel Hernandez, yes. In fact, I think Isabel hit another home run earlier in the year, but not in the Florida State League.
How about that?
That's some kind of power, because that is a pitcher's league extraordinaire.
Is it?
Yeah. Big ballparks down there, high humidity, obviously.
Manny Pena coming up to bat. Reds have David Hernandez and Ricelli Iglesias throwing in the bullpen as the Brewers bat here in the top of the 8th inning with 1 out. Peralta getting that all-important first out to begin the inning. Well, what a huge triple that was by Jeanette.
Boy.
Well, the Mets have finally broken that scoreless tie with the Cubs. We mentioned the pitching matchup tonight of Hamels against DeGrom. It's 1-0 Mets in the 6th inning, and DeGrom knocked in the only run of the game.
Yeah, did that on an infield single to score Todd Frazier.
Single into center field off the bench by Pena. So here comes Moustakas. Each pitcher in that game, by the way, Hamels and DeGrom, each with 8 strikeouts. A year ago this time, Peralta was pretty much money in the bank.
Well, he had been money in the bank most of the season, really, until he basically hit a fatigue wall in towards the end of the season. He was a guy that last year featured a slider that was a relatively new pitch for him. He was always a fastball changeup pitcher coming up in the minor leagues, always had a great arm. Was able to corral the fastball control and then add that little slider and made him a lethal weapon against left-handers. But this year just unable to find any command with some consistency. Sent down, did some time down in the minor leagues.
Told you Hernandez and Iglesias are ready in the bullpen. Moustakas, when the Reds played Kansas City and beat them up in KC a couple of nights, he did not have a hit. And we told you last weekend now Brewer did not have a hit and was hitless his first 2 times up tonight. He broke an 0 for 22 stretch this season against the Reds with that single in the 7th inning.
Good breaking ball there.
So a lot of that from Wandy last season. A lot.
Not sure what Danny Darwin told him, but repeat.
Hamilton racing in to get it. Ooh, he had to battle that thing. Caught it basket style.
I think he called it early because both the infielders kind of peeled off, and then he didn't realize that ball was just going to go nowhere. Of course, the worst thing could have happened right there is that you drop the ball and you still get an out at second base on a fielder's choice. But I think you'd rather have Manny Pena at first base. Well, maybe Moustakas and Pena are dead heat.
Jim Riggleman out to make a pitching change. Peralta is able to retire Moustakas for the 2nd out of the inning, and now Iglesias will come on to try for a 4-out save. Back in a moment. 2 outs, runner at first in the Milwaukee 8th inning, and part of the double switch, Brandon Dixon takes over in right field for Scott Schebler. And on the mound is the Reds closer, Raisel Iglesias.
Well, they're looking for multiple innings out of Iglesias. They don't want him to come to the plate. He's due up 4th in the inning, and that's why Dixon's in right and Iglesias on the mound here. See how he can perhaps solve the dilemma of Eric Kratz, who hit just a laser beam of a line drive out his last time up. Nobody wants to be the first one to be ready.
Kratz takes a fastball away, 2 balls and a strike. I tell you, a guy takes a cut, doesn't he? That's a big, strong man.
Well, it's kind of a short swing too, and he's never had a history of being a terrific hitter. I mean, he's hitting .262. He's had 4 home runs, but he is one strong guy. There's no question about it. And he was the guy we mentioned earlier, Tom, that took a Roldis Chapman deep a few years ago in Philadelphia.
Sure did. Game winner. Bouncer to Jeanette, and that's the final out in the 8th. Good job by Iglesias. Reds bat leading 9-6.
It's live, the post-game edition brought to you by Performance Kings Honda. We head inside, we talk to the manager, players, we have highlights before anybody else. That's after every game. Reds Live, the post-game edition on Fox Sports Ohio.
All right, Pick, thank you very much. That'll be coming up shortly. Reds will bat here in the bottom half of the 8th inning against a new Milwaukee pitcher. It's right-hander Taylor Williams.
Did his college studying at Kent State University, although he was a product of Camas High School in Camas, Washington. 27-year-old. We saw him when the Reds were in Milwaukee last week.
Brandon Dixon will lead things off, pulls it foul.
I'm glad to see Dixon up there ready to swing at the first pitch he sees. I think in a number of his at-bats coming off the bench, he just kind of tried to get the feel for the at-bat and found himself down a strike. So many pitchers just coming right after him.
Soria's line looks pretty good when you open up the box score. 2/3 of an inning, a hit, 2 strikeouts, no runs. But he allowed the huge hit to Scooter Gennett. This one popped up by Dixon for out number 1 in the 8th.
But the reality, somewhat different.
Yes, very different. For his team, maybe not him, but for his team, very different. So now Tucker. Tucker 1 of 3, an RBI single in the 4-run first inning, was intentionally walked in the 6th. Down a strike. If you're looking at the Brewers' 9th inning, they will have the shortstop Arcia, followed by Hernan Perez, and then the leadoff man in Cain. Well, that's just rearing back and cutting it loose. Cardinals in the bottom of the 7th inning, a 4-1 lead over the Pirates. Division leader out west, Arizona, just underway. Bottom of the 1st inning in San Francisco. Well, that is really, really tight. That's even tighter than the Central. Got Arizona with a 1-game lead over Colorado. And a 2-game lead over the suddenly awakened Dodgers. They've ripped off 3 straight wins. Nationals have rallied. They are leading the Phillies 5-3. That game in the bottom of the 9th in Philadelphia. And the Braves a 6-5 lead in the 8th over Tampa Bay in Atlanta. After getting ahead 0-2, Williams has run the count full on Barnard. You know, we were talking earlier about Tom Nichols broadcasting 4,000 plus professional games, all of them at the minor league level, and given the chance tonight to work the middle innings over on the Reds radio network with one of his idols, Marty Brennaman, and alongside the Cowboy, Jeff Brantley. His mom and dad, we understand, watch the game every single night. in Muncie, Indiana. Tom and Fran Nichols. Tom Sr., his wife Fran, and I'm sure you're extremely proud of your son tonight, as you should be. Heck, even if he never got a chance for tonight, you'd still be proud of him. I know you are. Good man. Does a great job, and we're really happy he had a chance to do that tonight, and hopefully will again. Regularly, somewhere. Before the game, he was going through all the... I mean, he showed up with that scorebook of his ready to go. Then with my dad, when he first came in, it's great stuff. Classy move by the Reds, and good for Tom. He's earned it. Sally out of there on strikes for the second out in the inning.
The Reds also announced today that in a series in September 7th, 8th, and 9th, when they have the Padres in town, that they will promote their AA announcer, Blue Wahoo's broadcaster Tommy Thrall will join Jeff Brantley for all of those games, all 3 games throughout the entire series, and giving Tommy Thrall a chance to come up here and work in the big leagues. So we congratulate him. And
absolutely. He was up here earlier this season before their season got underway. Nice young man.
A little side note to that is that while Thrall is up here doing big league games out of the AA Blue Wahoo's booth, the guy that will fill in for him is Chris Garagiola, who was an intern up here with the Reds a few years ago, and of course you recognize that name.
I sure do. Worked with his grandfather, Joe Garagiola, and his dad, Joe Garagiola Jr., was the general manager, the first ever general manager, World Series winning general manager of the Arizona Diamondbacks.
So revered still down in Arizona.
Oh, man. Joe Sr. passed last year. It was a very, very sad day for all of us. What an incredible life he had.
Yeah.
I mean, growing up in a poor section of St. Louis, makes it to the major leagues. Obviously an incredible gift of gab. Starts announcing games for the Yankees and the Cardinals. Becomes a national broadcaster on NBC. Then the next thing you know, for decades, he hosts the Today Show, where he met everybody. I mean, you could talk to him about meeting Golda Meir, about meeting Neil Armstrong, about interviewing John Lennon, about interviewing and meeting the Pope. I mean, he was one of the most fascinating people to talk to that anyone would ever meet in a lifetime. And some of the experiences he had were just unbelievable. Mason Williams drives one into left field. It's caught for the final out. So here we go. Reds are 3 outs away. Iglesias trying to slam the door on an opening game win. Let's go places. By Geico, 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. And by Ram. It's a no comparison event at your Ram dealer. Don't miss the great deals on Ram today. Great American Ballpark. Set for the top of the 9th inning. Reds with a 9-6 lead over the Milwaukee Brewers. Brewers aware that the Cardinals are winning, the Cubs are losing, and they are trailing the Redlegs by 3. Arcia, Perez, and Cain. We get any further than that? Oh, they're going to take down Arcia for Eric Thames. I tell you, it's hard to believe, as much as Thames has killed the Reds, he only started 1 game in that 3-game series last week. 7 home runs for Thames in this ballpark the last 2 years.
Now he's got 16 all year long this year. Well, that's what that incredible start by Jesus Aguilar has done to his playing time. In fact, when he did get a start against the Reds, it was in right field.
1 ball, 1 strike. And a bouncing ball. That's the shortstop Peraza. 1 gone in the 9th inning. Hernan Perez batting for the 2nd time. He had a run scoring double down the right field line in the 7th inning. In there, a strike. Cubbies have tied the Mets 1-1 that game in the 8th inning. And the Phillies not going to go down without a fight. They've scored a run, still batting in the bottom of the 9th inning against the Nationals. Sweeping away the breaking ball. It's 2-2 on Perez. Nobody on, 1 out. We're in the 9th inning. Pirates have scored, still batting in the 8th inning, leading St. Louis 4-2. Or the Cardinals leading the Pirates, I beg your pardon, 4-2. Two balls, 2 strikes. Iglesias going to work. Center field a hit. And now Lorenzo Cain, and this is a man you got to get right here and right now. You don't want to have the next guy coming up representing the tying run in this game. He's homered each of his last 2 times to the trip plate in Christian Yelich.
Just looked like that Iglesias was dominating Perez in that at bat. Jumped out ahead 0-2 with fastballs that were, 96 miles an hour. Then kind of evened up the count by nibbling around with the breaking ball. You're right about this at bat with Cain.
Cain walked in front of the home run by Yelich. That's when Jared Hughes came in and unbelievably walked Cain to keep that inning alive for Yelich. And what did he do? He hit one a country mile down the right field line to bring the Brewers then within a run. The Reds would get a 2-run triple by Scooter Gennett in the bottom of the 7th inning. That ball was killed down the line. So here we go. A double by Cain. And now Yelich will bat, representing the tying run.
Now he's been a one-man wrecking crew. This is a center field shot halfway up the batter's eye. Fortunately for Anthony DeSclafani and the Reds, nobody on base for that one, but not the same there against Jared Hughes. A rifle shot down the right field line into the bow tie bar on National Bow Tie Day. And here he comes up again, this time with the tying run at the plate.
Swinging for the downs. His first home run went 432 feet. The second one, they say, 402 feet.
Really good call right there by Barnhart with the changeup on a first pitch.
Brought up earlier, the Brewers as a team hold a ballpark record. They have hit a home run in 20 straight games here at Great American Ballpark. 20 in a row. The longest the Reds have ever hit is an 18-game stretch back in 2010. Ground ball will bring in a run, but it's a very important second out. Tying run still comes to the plate as it's 9-7 in the form of Aguilar. So 2 away here in the 9th. 1 more to go for Iglesias. But a dangerous hitter up there with 29 home runs. Looks like they're trying to stay away from his power.
Well, Tucker Barnhart relying on Eugenio Suarez to kind of relay the pep talk right there.
2-0 on Aguilar. Threw a fastball right by him. 95 miles per hour by Iglesias. Oh boy, I didn't miss by much. That should have been strike 3 or strike 2. Should be 2 balls, 2 strikes. Instead, it's 3-1. I mean to tell you that Iglesias is just rearing back and challenging this big man with fastballs.
I think that's what that talk was all about with Tucker Barnhart, and interpreted by Suarez. I mean, Barnhart wanted him to challenge him the same way he did to Perez to start the inning off after with 1 out, and blew him away on 2 pitches and then nibbled his way to a 3-2 count. Now he gets a couple of shakeoffs.
Barely got a piece of it, but a piece he did. Iglesias gets a strikeout of Aguilar. And the Reds win the opener of this series by a final count of 9-7. The final. We'll be back to wrap it up from Great American Ballpark in a moment.